Hey guys, welcome to a morning intro to this up-and-coming video. Recently I had a really cool collab stream with TheViper, one of the best players of Age of Empires 4 and probably the very best ever Age of Empires 2 player. He's a really chill dude from Norway and we had a great time. This is our first segment where we go through a replay featuring BeastieQT playing as Delhi and Hera playing as English. And we basically talk about anything under the sun about Age of Empires 4. Balance, design, and more. I hope you enjoy it. You want to sync up this replay?
I'm trying to, so this will be my first time actually. Okay, I go to multiplayer probably. Okay, there we go, found it.
Okay.
I've actually never observed the match before.
Really?
So, yes. 54, 55, 6, 7, 8,
Okay.
9. We good? 1,
Done.
2. Okay, perfect. Don't touch anything.
Don't touch. Don't you freaking change any settings.
Okay. Well, that's
cool.
interesting. We have Beastie playing as Delhi. That's really interesting.
Yeah. He started playing and he's been spreading filthy misinformation that Delhi is playable. What do you think about that?
What? That's just injustice to the viewers, to the fans of Age of Empires franchise. I think he should be banned for life.
Exactly. And he's sitting at like rank 1 or 2 or something perchy like that, and he's like, yeah, I think everything is playable. I don't think anything is broken. Seems like a comfortable position to speak from. If you are indeed using Delhi to win, then you could believe that. But just wait until Delhi is too strong, says chat.
To be fair, okay, like on maps like this, I think actually Delhi might even be the best civ.
Yeah, because
like,
the fishing boats.
Exactly.
Because
there's just no way to deny him getting a dock up, first of all. You cannot take his fish, and whenever you place your own dock, he's gonna come forward and dock next to you and bring his fishing ships.
Exactly. And after Delhi, maybe it would be Mongols, because they can do the... It seems like at high level, you pretty much play like whatever civ you are, you play dock, outpost, and spears. You can't really skip spears. So you would imagine that Mongols does that the best, if that's true.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Mongol was the clearly favored civ on hybrid maps for the most part. But on the high level, I think it's only recently this daily dock thing. I mean, it's been known for a while, but people have kind of really figured out how to force the issue now. But yeah, like if there is not Delhi, then Mongols is just crushing every other civ on hybrid maps.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the advice I gave someone in Discord. He was like struggling with Mongols on hybrid map, and I was thinking, and I felt blasphemous even to say it, but I'm glad that you're ratifying it, that maybe Delhi is the best counter to them because of the boats.
Yeah, I have lost a game with Mongols against Delhi on hybrid map. I was even shocked myself how crushed I got by that type of approach.
But I noticed that when I started watching you in Age, and I didn't really watch Age of Empires 2, so I didn't have much to go on. I noticed you seem really chill when you lose. Like you rather clap for your opponent than that you seem to feel any like sting to your ego or anything like that. Like when you first lost to the Scout Horse Archer, you uploaded that to your YouTube when it was still a new build. You were like, "This is really cool. This is so cool."
Well, like I love the that you can improvise so much and come up with new stuff, especially in a new release game.
Yeah.
And no build feels too cheesy initially. It's only like after a while, if you play against it and you don't find any counter,
Yeah.
that's the point where I think like it can get a bit frustrating. Like for example, like if you are in an unadvantageous position and you have like stone walls and towers coming up on you, it's like when you just don't feel like you have any way to stop it. Things like that feels very cheesy and that can get frustrating. But in the end, it's like, in the end, if he was in that position where he could do that, you probably did something wrong yourself.
Yeah.
I
You
always think like...
Can't always see the path immediately. Plus, we speak of frustration. You have a lot of gamers, they see being frustrated as like something very negative. Like that shouldn't happen. That there's this recent trend of calling things unfun or frustrating, and therefore it needs to be changed. But as pro gamers, both of us, like frustration is the point where you need to work even harder to find a solution.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't just sit down there and sit down and say, Well, this is frustrating. I'm gonna give up because we don't give up.
Yeah, and if you have that type of attitude as well, you're justifying your own loss by claiming that this was broken or this was unfair, instead of looking at your own mistakes, right? So
Yeah,
you're lowering or slowing down your own learning process. I feel like.
exactly. And it's not that that never happens to me. Like, I get frustrated unproductively too sometimes, but
Yeah.
maybe not as often as some people. So speaking of
Everyone does.
frustrating units and frustrating mechanics, I don't know if you're part of the Age of Empires 4 Discord discussion,
Hmm.
and of course the exact. You are.
I am in the group. I don't post too actively though.
You're still split between, of course, actively two different tournament scenes.
Yeah.
And so that's where sometimes I see some of the sentiments for some of the top 100, top 200 players. Some of the most quoted frustrations are, and I'm wondering your opinion on them, Springalds, the Springalds meta. We're getting a fix for that as it seems tonight, and professional scouts.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, and I'm not saying that makes me more chill or anything, like I hadn't really seen it as a problem until I saw a lot of people say it. Is it because I'm lower on the ranking still? Is it because it takes me a lot longer to get frustrated by it and I just accept it? I think, yeah, if everyone makes Springalds, I'll make Springalds. I don't mind. Or are other people like more discerning at like knowing which part like actually could be better gameplay? Or will they just move to the next thing to be frustrated about? If it's not Springald, it could be another thing. I don't know exactly what, but what is your opinion on Springalds? And later on the other thing, professional scouts. Springalds first.
Yeah. So Springals, I think it took a while before the problem became clear.
Yeah.
How dominant they are, or like, if you make a Springald, it's never a bad decision. Essentially, it's good against everything. And
Yes.
that in itself it's not necessarily a bad thing, but Springald, which is supposed to be a counter unit to Siege in particular, when it's suddenly a use for all tools, that is probably not how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And I think the Springald meta is also pushed heavily by the fact that a civilization like Abbasid and Mongols can build Springalds in the field. Because when they get Castlation, they have the siege engineering tech, and they start putting Springalds. It's like, as the defending player, what tools do you have to deal with that?
Make a siege workshop fast and do the same thing?
Exactly. And you have to invest extra resources into the siege workshop, and your Springald comes out slower than if it's built in the field, because you can build with many units. And it just feels straight out unfair sometimes, and it feels very hard to counter unless you make your own Springalds.
But
And therefore, I agree. I think that is a problem.
technically, wouldn't Abbasid benefit more from the Springald nerf, since they'll always be ready to make them reactively? They don't have to make a pre-investment?
I think, especially as a defensive tool, for sure, it should be, right?
Because they're better against mangonels, which now go up in
Yeah.
value because of the lesser presence of Springalds in general. But then not everyone is making a predetermined siege workshop anymore. So it's now Abbasid among all seven, and Chinese, because they're still probably going to go Clock Tower to age up to 3. They are the two with the capabilities ready immediately to make them when necessary. Everyone else knew they had to make a siege workshop because it's part of your key units. Now that it no longer is, it seems like that flexibility should help Abbasid in Chinese.
I do agree. I think also Mongols, because it's not hard for them to do
The upgrade.
the better engineering. I'm not sure exactly the name.
Advanced siege
yeah.
engineering, I suppose.
Exactly. And Mongols as well will benefit from that. And Mongols is a civ that don't need more benefits.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit sad. But yeah, I mean, it sounds logical, right? The way you put it.
Yeah.
And I also think the fact that Springalds are nerfed, we're going to see way more mangonels from like Abbasid built in the field.
Exactly. Yeah.
Way more, maybe even Trebuchets becomes more popular.
So if mangonels become as ubiquitous as Springalds were before, then so will Springalds be. You'll have typically 2 mangonels and however many it takes to one-shot a mangonel in terms of Springalds. You would still always have them. Question mark?
So the meta then will become mangonels into Springalds?
Yeah, maybe. Unless civilizations have a way to deal with mangonels by pre-spreading formation, superior unit pre-positioning scouts, horsemen, lancers, or maybe fast men-at-arms to not worry as much about mangonel.
I think the main issue here also comes from the speed of siege and the limited amount of damage or torch damage units do against siege.
Yeah.
So sometimes like you run up to enemy bombards, for example, you try to take them out with like 5-6 horsemen, and you feel like, yeah, this should be able to take out a bombard.
Yeah.
And then you take the seconds go pass by, you know, slowly, and the HP just goes down like 5% at a time.
Yeah. Or they don't
And
even
just-
shoot because they run after it and their attack animation gets
Yeah.
cancelled.
And the hitbox on unpacked bombards is horrible still.
Yeah. What do you think about? Have you been able to, like, intentionally activate the bonus turbo speed rocket fuel that siege units have? Because there's something about sorting formations in this game that is very different from Blizzard RTS, which is of course what I came from.
Wait, what a rocket fuel? What?
Yeah, so sometimes Springalds, bombers, whatever, when they're in a group, some of them are not in the formation that the game wants them to be in. Even when you use
Right.
no formation, no Z, no X or C, or whatever you have attached those hotkeys to, the line, the triangle, and the loose, they want to still, in this game I realize, they still have a formation, whatever you group together. You can tell by
That is
the
true.
adapted movement speed how if you F8, everything is as slow as your slowest unit, for instance.
Yeah.
So
We actually have the same in Age of Empires 2, where units that are in a formation, like if they fall a little bit apart, they will recover that distance faster than normal to get back into formation.
so, okay, this is not new. To me, it's new, not so much to Age players. So when that
Yeah.
happens sometimes, you could chase a Springald with a 1.82 speed horseman. Is that how much they have? Wait, let me check. Yeah, 1.88 tile movement. And you can literally be outrun by a Springald that is rocket fueling to get back in position with the rest of his buddies.
Yeah. I think things like that as well. Like you've seen sometimes, you're like, oh, I'm on top of a Springald. Like finally, I can finally take them out, and then they just like disappear from your sight. That's contributing to the whole agenda against Springalds,
Yeah.
I think. So it makes a lot of sense.
Do you think 30 damage baseline is still enough for a Springald to be a universally acceptable unit to be part of armies?
Well, let's look at some HP, right? We have a Longbowman with 70 HP.
Yeah.
Suddenly you need 3 shots to kill 1 Longbowman.
Instead of 2?
And yeah, and if you have 3 Springalds, it's still very nice because the reload time isn't that long. You can still snipe 1 Longbowman at a time.
Yeah, it's like putting a
But-
timer and breaking someone's formation.
Exactly.
So it seems like
And-
even now we may still be overestimating the disappearance, the future disappearance of Springalds, where 30 damage is still okay when it has 10 to 13 and a half range.
Yeah. But I think, actually, is that a good thing? I'm thinking now, like, Springald will also counter Springald, right? They will have extra damage against each other as well.
Yeah.
So,
But it doesn't change much. Well,
yeah. It
they
should
still
not, in
they
theory.
still they 2-shot each other instead of 3 shots, so that does kind of matter.
I think the bottom line is we're just gonna have to wait and see, because they're also gonna be more expensive, right? They'll be
Oh, that's
50
true.
extra.
And slower.
than wood.
That's actually true.
Yeah.
I think
So-
even bombards are fairly fast at getting away from things. Like you would instinctively, you feel like that men-at-arms should be able to close the gap on bombards, and once you're on top of them, bombards should be chanceless to get away virtually. But that's not the reality.
Agreed. But that's I think those things are what contributes to the frustration, right, with Siege. That you always feel like this should work. I should be able to catch them. I should be able to destroy this, but it never plays out how you envision it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think in the end we have to wait and see how it plays out. I'm sure the devs have done some testing regarding the numbers to make sure that they think that it's fine. But yeah, we're just gonna have to wait and see how it plays out. I still feel like the Abbasid, Mongols, these guys that can build them in field, I don't want to say it, but I think that's something that is kind of broken. That they are the same stats and same cost, and that they can build even faster than from a seed workshop.
That's the weird part to me. I mean, in general, I find power building and repairing a very contentious point in Age. Because, take for instance, we had a similar meta as the Springald meta in Warcraft 3. There was when Blizzard came back and started thinking about Reforged about 3 years ago, they did actually a balance patch before Reforged even was announced. And they did a balance patch because they wanted to start looking at the game again, getting their fingers into the game, kind of like reconnecting with the community. And we weren't aware yet of what a mess it was going to be yet. Anyway, that part doesn't matter too much, but we had this meta where mass glaive throwers, basically the same thing, was like completely meta. You would have a lockdown hero that would put someone in place, and then you would have siege that can normally miss big time, but because of an upgrade that was bugged, as well as this hero that would lock them down, you had 100% of the siege damage actually hitting, where it was supposed to maybe do like 0 or 10 or 40% damage normally. So that was way too much damage on the target, and it actually became the best unit in the game. So you would make nothing except them, and they would even beat things that it couldn't even attack, just because it would destroy everything else quickly enough. It was very silly.
Was that solely due to the bug though, or was it the hero power that made it broken?
Both. There were like there were a number of underused heroes and units, and they buffed all of them multiple ways at the same time because they weren't that in tune with the balance of the game.
Okay.
And we pro gamers, we naively thought if they get it wrong, they'll fix it in a month, right? Right.
Right.
It took like half a year. So everyone only made the equivalent of Springals, and just when I look at that meta, that glaive thrower, it took like 10 workers to repair to out heal 1 or 2 units attacking it. In this game, it seems to be the opposite. It takes 3 villagers to repair 20 units from shooting. Repair rates are really, really good. And like you said, the siege building speed in the field is also really good.
Yeah.
Maybe if they just make that last longer, where men-at-arms will really be occupying as long as, like when they build a ram, then it won't be as easy to just move up to someone's base in their line of sight, build 4 Springalds, can't even get punished.
Yeah. I think that's another one on the list of like why it feels frustrating. Even when you get there and do the damage, if there are a few villagers around, it's like it's instantly fixed. So
exactly.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I think just adjusting somehow so there is some negative aspect of building siege in the field. So you might even be encouraged to build a siege workshop.
Yeah, like even if it was like when you build it in the field, it costs 300, but when you build it from the shop, it's 250. That seems to be more of a meaningful gameplay choice, because now there's no choice to be made.
Exactly, and I'm always in favor of decisions like that, whether you want to do something, spend resources, being a strategic choice. Because that just adds to the depth and the skill of the game itself.
Exactly. I always wanted that in StarCraft. I don't know if you ever played StarCraft 2?
I was fairly high GM when I was at most active.
Oh, sick. So you know about how warp gates work with protons?
Yeah.
So I always thought it would have been cool if gateways built faster, had a shorter unit cooldown because of their drawback of spawning units out of the gateway instead of getting them instantly and then having a reverse cooldown afterwards.
Right.
Then you could have like a bunch of gateways for better production and a bunch of warp gates for teleportation across.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, I think that also adds, like, it's just things like this that adds to the decision making of the game, which also adds to the strategy of the game. And in the end, an RTS game is like, of course, you need good macro and good micro and everything, but strategy should always be rewarded. Good strategy.
Exactly. So in this game, what BCQT is doing, because
we're watching a game.
I know. I almost feel like it's sacrilegious to start talking about the game now.
20 minutes in.
But it seems like he's gone with Lancers first, just so he's not as upgrade reliant.
I think it's also because he has seen the longbow play from Herodot, right? It was kind of obvious that this is going to happen, right?
Yeah,
but I mean, in the end...
Maybe it's for the longbow, but like if you're against longbow spear, in theory, wouldn't you just go men-at-arms normally?
I think due to the map and the fact that there was water involved, I think mobility is more rewarded, right? Because if you're having men-at-arms trying to chase the archers, he most likely gets to the water in time to be safe with demos, whatever. While cavalry would always be able to get in a few hits, most likely.
Yeah, okay, because sometimes I view men-at-arms lancers as quite interchangeable, and I guess in a degree it's true if you're just deathballing and moving around as a blob.
Yeah.
But the mobility aspect, just to catch a few kills and then get back.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I mean, actually, on this game, speaking on, like, the early game was quite interesting because BCQT went up to, like, he had like 9 fishing ships when Hera had 4, because Hera had to invest into a tower to keep his fish safe. But Hera did a really good job of like adapting, getting a second dock, catching up in the fishing, and then just switching into an economy approach. And he's actually quite ahead in villager count right now.
Yeah.
Looking like a very close game. Hera even going to the Imperial Age, so...
Yeah, with the Berkshire Palace, it always feels a bit risky using these landmarks in front. But
yeah.
It is a keep. And the other one is just weird. Windguard, summon the Windguard army.
Yeah.
You get like a random army of units. Sometimes a trebuchet, sometimes 2 knights.
No, you always get exactly one of each.
Oh, okay, okay.
But it's still weird.
Yeah, it is weird.
But I mean, like, if you look at the value of the cost, it's actually a really good value for the units. But it's like, you get one of each. And the likelihood that you have all of them upgraded is very small. Trebuchets also feel underused in the game. Like, it's never better to go trebuchet over bombard, pretty much.
Yeah.
So... yeah, I feel like the
tiny timer on someone's keep. Do you ever make trebuchets?
Only if I feel like the game is over or I'm like in a super advantageous position and I have like a hill. For example, if you look at Hera's base now where the longbows are, if I was there in Castle Age, he was in Feudal Age, I might make a trebuchet or two with
over
my
the water
infantry, just to like show him that the game is over. But it's more like a
okay, it's a
like
BM unit,
kind of. Yeah. No, but yeah, I feel like trebuchets are very rarely worth it because they're also very expensive.
Yeah. 800 against the 1000 of Bombard, and Bombard is like faster, quicker setup time, more damage into buildings, can also kill units.
More, yeah. It's just like, yeah, I feel like trebuchets is also something like, I don't know if you have tried trebuchets against like stone walls or towers as well.
So
they don't do much damage at all.
Yeah.
So it's like, to me, trebuchets is something that should be really packing a punch against buildings and walls.
But have you tried attack grounding with them?
I have not.
So this is actually really important, because if you attack ground behind the building, half on top of it, I believe you get the full damage on the building, but you're also actually killing the repairing villagers, which is something.
Right, so it has some splash damage.
Yeah, that's something the Bombard can't do. I think you only need 2 or 3 shots to kill the villagers. So I think there's a little bit more purpose maybe if you use them that way. But I agree. I'm 99% of the time I'm disappointed when I make them.
Yeah, but I mean, bombers can also target fire, but I guess you enter range of the castle to try and snipe villagers.
Yes, and it's 1 by 1. Like, Trebuchet easily like takes down 8 villagers at the same time.
All right. Yeah, bombers don't have splash damage.
Yeah, not in this game. I heard in AoE2 they do.
Yeah, they do in AoE2. Can be quite brutal. Also, in AoE2 team games are quite popular as well, and you can have some fun with those when if you're winning and you want to make fun with your allies.
Yeah.
You can kill a lot of units.
Are Bombards in AoE2 as popular as here?
They are the most expensive unit in the game, so it's quite similar here, and not every civ has access to it, but they are very popular in a lot of Imperial Age scenarios, yes. How is it for you to come like from... I know you played like AoE2, I'm not sure how many times you played it, but once or twice.
Once or twice.
A while back.
Yeah.
How is it coming from like Warcraft, which I think is very micro-intensive, and StarCraft that was very micro-intensive? I think it's more macro-intensive now than micro, maybe?
Yeah.
Or more balanced?
StarCraft 2, it just has such a high pace. I feel like StarCraft 2 has perhaps even a higher micro requirement and desire than Warcraft 3 or Age of Empires 4 at least. I don't know about 2. But because the game is so fast, you humanly can't squeeze enough micro in as what would be the optimum way of microing things. Therefore, you do the best value thing that you can do at any given time, and that happens to usually be macro, which is why there's the misunderstanding that SC2 is more about macro than micro. It's actually about both. And yeah, it is more macro, but it doesn't mean that it has less micro than Warcraft 3.
Yeah.
Overall, I think it's a bit too fast, though, the game.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard for casual. I think currently the feeling on AoE4 is that it's a nice middle ground of speed and APM is rewarded, but you don't have to be super fast to still make good strategy and be able to play the game kind of casually, even though RTS kind of never is casual.
Yeah, I agree with that. And Warcraft 3, there's so little macro only, like in terms of thinking about how you're going to move around the map, how do you carve out your creep route and so on, but there's so little economy management only Night Elf and humans sometimes have to kind of worry about their economy. And there's easy ways to fix your economy with Goblin Shredders. Like, oh, I have lumber issues. I'll never have lumber issues again. Because of that, all of your attention goes to micro, which makes it like really just a battle arena kind of feeling. And I love that about Warcraft 3. And coming to Age, the hardest thing to accept is like that the units like don't 100% listen as well sometimes. Click and hit boxes, but I was easily able to accept it because it recaptures so many happy feelings from SE1 and SE2 in terms of fights all over the map, units everywhere, unit trades, heavy emphasis on multitask and macro, which has been really a lot of fun.
Yeah. How do you feel about that? There's 4 resources.
Oh, that's been complicated, man, but it's been complicated.
Yeah, I think a lot of people coming from like, normally I see a lot of people coming from StarCraft giving AoE2, for example, a go. And one of the biggest thing was that to find the balance, like suddenly you need 4 resources instead of just 2.
Exactly.
So that you spend so much more time fixing economy, taking care of economy, rather than what you would do in StarCraft would be like doing medevac drops or surging run-bys and all those small moves.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I felt pretty proud in SC2 where I figured out that you can overmine gas. Like, just because you have geysers doesn't mean there needs to be 3 in every geyser. And just because you have 3 bases doesn't mean you should take all your gases. Like, that came, of course, like a year into my learning of SC2, where people started realizing, like, oh yeah, okay, if you're actually mining too much gas, you've got a bank, then you're hurting yourself in your mineral income, obviously. And it's that times 4, right, in this game.
Yeah. So people in StarCraft early days, they always thought that expanding to a new base would automatically meant adding the geysers right away.
Yeah, I mean, maybe not everyone. Everyone has their own game IQ and their own way to view the game and stuff, right? But definitely sometimes you're overmining gas because you see it as such a precious material, and you think like, yeah, I should get all the gas while I can.
Yeah.
And yeah, that could hurt your mineral income.
Yeah, I guess you can compare it to Age of Empires 2 and being like, every time you expand, there's a gold mine there. You feel like, okay, I should mine gold because gold is like super valuable.
Yeah.
At least in Age of Empires 2, it's less valuable here, I suppose, because you can always trade with yourself and various ways of getting gold. But yeah, that's cool. I think like the main difference that I noticed playing Age of Empires 2 versus StarCraft 2 was that StarCraft 2 is way less forgiving.
Yes.
Because if you take like one bad fight, you're like, okay, GG, I'm done. Like, if the Banelings blow up your Marines or whatever, it's just like you're done.
Yeah.
While I think Age of Empires 2 and Age of Empires 4 has way more combat potential because of the natural pace of the game. I'm not sure how Warcraft is there. If there's like one bad fight just ends the game.
It's forgiving because in Warcraft 3 you can get out, speed scroll, town portal, superior movement speed. You can just disengage.
Okay.
And the units have more health, so there's no equivalent to demolition ship, which I think is an offender in this game, by the way, to kind of an exception to that rule, but there's ways to mitigate not running into demo ships. But yeah, in Warcraft 3, there's nothing like a Baneling or a demo ship to the same degree, for the most part. So I like that unforgiving. I like that forgivingness of this game. Speaking of demos, yeah.
Yeah, let's see where these are going. There's 3 coming around, and Hera's army is all on the shallows. Yeah, back. Demos is also one of the things in the game I really hope they change, because I mean, wait, if Hera doesn't move soon, this what? Why is he turning?
Maybe he doesn't have the final upgrade. No, he does. Does every faction get access to bonus demolition explosion damage?
I'm actually not sure about that, but I still feel like even if you didn't have it here, you make a go for it, right?
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, the investment is tiny. The risk is virtually non-existent. 160/80, but it's bugged, right? Like, it can't really be meant to be that big. What I heard is that only Rus have a bug with them, that everything else is fine. I mean, I was using Holy Roman Explosions yesterday, and legit it's like, I'm trying to judge how much area of the screen, maybe 25% of the area of a whole monitor. Which is pretty bananas. We can see it now, maybe.
Let's see, yeah.
Please, Hera. Please.
Oh no. Why is he not reacting? Hera.
Come on.
Wait, like... Okay.
Okay, I think Holy Roman would have blown that up at like 1/3 of the archers.
Maybe, yeah, because sometimes I feel like its demo damage also seems very inconsistent. Half the time I feel like I'm getting way less value than I'm expecting because of those insane shots sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah, demos is definitely something I also think they definitely need to address, because we cannot have it like Boulder Bay, for example, a map that is, there's a lot of water on it, but I still think we should be having a reasonably viable approach by going land only.
Yeah.
But when the demos can do damage like half of the land as well, it feels kind of like it has too much of an impact.
Yeah. Oh, demo ship.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that Holy Roman demo ship would have blown up those archers.
yeah. I'm surprised that the bombers even survived that, but I guess that makes sense.
They don't survive when it's a Holy Roman demo ship. I'm 90% sure, because I've seen some stupid stuff.
That's something that's easy to test, though, right?
Do you think, though,
Have to
that
figure
demo
that out.
ships have a design place if their radius and damage output is not, let's say, bugged?
I think so, because they are a historic unit in real life as well, and they're also like a unit from Age of Empires 2, which I think they took some inspiration from. I think they are a fine unit to use for, like, I think without demos, combat potential on water is extremely small.
Exactly. And the way it works out, if you both just have a bunch of arrow ships and it's just a numbers game, the equivalent of StarCraft 2 Roach versus Roach, then eventually if you lose, you lose. And I feel like they have a really important role. It's just either because of bug or because of tuning, they're a little bit too impactful versus water and land. But I do think they're important to exist.
I agree. We should, I think Relic should hire us, honestly. We would fix this game in a heartbeat.
No, thank you. You can never make everyone happy.
We don't tell anyone, but we take care behind the scenes.
Well,
Actually, you
you've
know what would
ruined
be
that
really-
now.
That would actually be a really interesting social experiment, right? Give one of the pro players access to balance the game
Full control
and see
for one patch.
and see what feedback. No, just like try the best you can. Yeah, full control, exactly.
Yeah.
And then see what feedback they get when everyone thinks that it's the devs.
Yeah, exactly. Or the opposite. We say you did the next balance patch, but you get 0 input. You're just a face.
Right.
And then see what kind of feedback the patch gets. It's like, wow, this is really good. I
Yeah.
love it. Demo ship's buffed.
That would actually be really fun to see just how, if the general perception of the patch changes.
Yeah.
Actually, to be fair, this is a really nice game. I think.
Yeah. We're not really doing it justice with our cast.
Yeah, exactly. I think. How do you feel when the game enters this stage, though? Out of
I love it.
curiosity, because
I
you
always
like
aim
the-
for this stage.
Yeah, you like the slower siege focused.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not really against any play style. I think the only play styles I don't like is where I know what's coming, kind of like the cheese scenario you mentioned.
Yeah.
I know what's coming. I feel like it's too hard to stop. I need to get over myself in that scenario. But yeah, I pretty much aim for this, which is why when I watch like quicker games with a game plan, with an attack plan, I kind of marvel. I admire it. I'm like, okay, I should incorporate this a little bit more, and then I go have another 1-hour game.
Did you see that demo hit there just now, by the way?
It was moderate, right? Or
It was very moderate.
yeah,
I definitely felt like it should have done way more.
maybe it's just like a few civs like Rus and Holy Roman which do more.
Could be. I mean, Rus, like, yeah, Rus was at least my audience tells me that Rus is a bit broken.
And for those of
On the demo
you
ship.
watching this on my stream wondering, does Viper stream as well? Yes. He streams on Facebook. If you search Facebook TheViper, you will find
Name
it.
which should not be mentioned.
Really? Why?
That's how I feel like. No, a lot of people have strong opinions on.
I know,
on
but
Facebook.
it is what it is, and
Yeah.
you probably have very good reasons for it, and it's a trade-off. I think people know that. I respect it. So if people want to watch, you're the only one I went to the stream service for. So I guess the sponsorship worked out.
It's an honor. But yeah, also for those watching here, I can return the favor. Follow Grubby. Very clever name, by the way. Because whenever anyone wants to check out your channel or anything, they're automatically reminded to follow. That's very clever.
Looking back, it feels like a bit of a sellout name. I don't know how well it worked if I got more or fewer followers for it. But the reason was I wanted something neutral that wasn't tied to a game. Because you got a lot of dudes being like, Grubby Hearthstone, Grubby HS, because they
Yeah.
think I'll always only ever play this game, and it's not very future forward looking. And Grubby was such a standard name that was already taken, so I was like, okay, I need something that works everywhere, and so that's why it's like that.
Have you? Well, I guess it's too late now to try and change, but like, because I was named TheViper AoC in the past, which was like related to Age of Empires, but I just asked them, hey, can I have TheViper, right? And I was able to have it.
But like, am I gonna get that? Because I wanted it to be everywhere the same. So am I gonna get that on Twitter, on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, etc.? And this one worked everywhere.
That's the thing, right? I still don't have TheViper on every platform, so it makes a lot of sense to try and have it the same.
And you can
I
go
think
like,
as well now you're so deep in it that I think it's too late to try and change it to just Grubby.
I'm not going back to anything else like this. It's way too. Some people try that, change their name after like 13 years in the industry. I'm like, I'm still gonna remember you with the other name.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, BSTQ has stayed on 1 TC the whole time. Hera has gone up to 3 TCs, if I see correct. No, 2 TCs only.
It feels like that's his
3.
daily philosophy then.
1 TC, heavy on the upgrades, use the fish. But I think he only plays Delhi on water maps, right? I can't imagine him trying to use them on land maps.
No, he played them on land too. Like this isn't a like he's like rank 1, 2, 3, right? And rank doesn't mean everything, but it's impressive. He's good. I've played against him too, and I don't think he just like is abusing civs per map. Like he just wanted to try it out in a string of games, and he plays some other maps. So yeah, I don't.
Might have to check out how he plays them on land maps then, because I feel like on water maps they should definitely be pretty good.
Yes.
Or these hybrid maps, but I feel like on land maps I can't imagine them working too well.
Somebody in chat says he does play them specifically on this map. Yeah, maybe when he meets Hera, he plays tryhard and doesn't just say like 10 games in a row with Delhi. So maybe Orestes, you're right.
Could be.
Hey Viper, upload more AoE4 videos on your YouTube channel.
First time I heard that actually, mostly it's like, this is not AoE2.
I saw that you've got a pretty, it's tough. Because you love playing 2 different games at the same time, and so obviously there's a bit of angst where people worry like you're not going to come back here. I get that a bit with Warcraft 3. Seems you get it a little bit more just because they're not even by the same dev, but it's like it's the same genre, right? Both games have fans.
It's the same franchise.
Yeah. So now
a lot of
now you've
people
heard it.
feel like they feel like I'm betraying AoE2.
Of course.
By playing AoE4.
I love betraying games. Every night I go to bed, I stop playing the game. I'm abandoning the game. Then in the morning, I play it again. I'll abandon it, but at night.
Yeah, I mean I'm used to it by now. But it's been like that. I mean, if you're streaming Warcraft 3 and you want to try something else casually just for an evening, right?
Yeah.
There will be so many comments dropping by your stream. Hey, why are you not playing this? Or stop playing this, play that. You know, all these types of things.
But part of it, and you're totally right, and sometimes that's difficult, but you know, everyone that didn't say anything or people that say, love you trying new things, we need to learn to listen to those too, right? Not just
those 2 guys.
Yeah. Grubby, have you quit AoE4? Yeah, I'm never playing again. I just want to watch games with Viper only ever again.
And talk about everything that is good and bad in the game, in the world. This is the new podcast that's going to take off. Watching casual game in the background and talking about everything.
Yeah. It's like a new thing where we're not allowed to talk about the game we watch. See, that was a tiny demo ship. Like, half the infantry would have been obliterated in the past.
Yeah, it feels very inconsistent. Okay, let's see now. This one. Okay, let's see.
Where?
Oh, we might not be on the same time because I changed the sound settings quickly. 39:25.
Okay. 30. 31.
30. 34. 5.
Okay, same.
6. Okay, yeah. There was one of them that I did decent, but still, it feels very different from Civ to Civ and engagement to engagement.
Yeah, exactly. Interesting mangonel usage.
Yeah, I mean, the scare, the fear factor, right?
I think forced march is so strong.
Yeah. So wasn't there a bug where actually the elephant also had forced march?
Yeah, too bad I never got to use that. Just once.
I would love to see the elephant run, man.
So I'm surprised he's still using longbowman so much, and it actually seems to be kind of okay. How much damage are they doing? 14. So it's actually respectable into men at arms.
Yeah. With the extra range as well, it's quite nice because they can definitely not take demo damage, and yeah, it's just like kind of guaranteed DPS that doesn't die, sort of.
It looks like he's not using arrow volley.
I think you're right about that. I think that's something that. Oh no, he just used it.
Oh
with
yeah,
those
yeah.
forward units. So he is aware. The hero, I'm not sure if you are familiar with his playstyle in general from Age of Empires 2, but he's very much a like. He wants to spam like his philosophy is pretty much one gold unit supported by a trash unit. That's his philosophy. He does that in every game. I think actually that's one of the reasons why he lost in Genesis round of 8. Was because he stuck by that. He played Age of Empires 4 as if it was Age of Empires 2. And that backfired. Not saying it's the wrong thing in this situation, but in the tournament games it was.
Yeah, when I see him, he's like super proactive with the basic units. Like takes a bunch of, but that's true for you as well. Like take a bunch of spear archer, like a small commando squad, to do something that is not even close to ending the game, but just a small little debilitating attack.
It's like the long-term cost-effective trades sort of thing.
And that's been fun to like. Actually, one of the biggest things I learned from you, I don't know if you ended up watching that, because you said you watched one of my games watching you. One of the biggest things I learned from you was like not having the reliance to control group everything obsessively.
Big Mangler shots, by the way.
Yeah, huge.
Oh yeah, formations, by the way, in this game. I feel like they don't listen often when I try to put something in a formation.
Someone told me why.
And why is that?
If
there no Springals there?
If your formation would take your unit into impassable, unbuildable terrain, maybe it's coded as building, hashtag coded as building, then it doesn't proc. So if, for instance, Hera took his longbows right now and he did a Z, and that rock is there, then it doesn't work. Because I used to struggle with it until someone said that, and from testing it seems that this was correct.
Because you kind of always want to put the formation in an open area.
Yes.
Okay. But yeah, speaking on the hotkey thing, control group thing you mentioned. Obviously, the more control groups in theory is better. But at some point, there might be a point where like, does this actually benefit your fingers and time spendage and efficiency?
Yes.
In terms of using units.
Because I have 32 men at arms and I get 5 new ones, and then I need to add them. So I press all army hotkey, I control left click my men at arms, I re-add them to control group 1. Then I have, you know, and at some time I was spending so much time just constantly grouping, ungrouping, that the feeling of just letting go and sending squads everywhere and kind of trying to keep a mental track of, kind of like blind chess, keeping a mental track of where everything is, and then just revisiting sometimes without the control group was so liberating. And I saw you barely control grouped so many of your units, and you still remembered where things were, which was cool.
Yeah, I think it's a habit thing as well, similar to how I do it in Age of Empires 2. Harold has, by the way, had 5 spearmen hiding in the forest on the left the whole game.
Who? Hera?
Kind of cute. Hera, yeah.
Let's see.
If you look in the left forest, there's 5 spearmen. They've been like stuck in that gap in the forest. I mean, that's like one bomber cannon almost. So can have an impact.
Well, maybe he has a plan for it.
Long-term raiding. That villager will chop there eventually.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, gotta be careful. We don't have camera hotkeys yet in this game.
No, we do not.
Could be useful.
Like that's also one of the big things. People that came from StarCraft to Age 2 was like, where are the camera hotkeys?
Yeah.
How do I do this?
Yeah.
I understand that.
And in Age of Empires 2, you can select all stables, all archery range with some kind of hotkey magic. Here you can't.
You also have a lot of go-to hotkeys in Age of Empires 2, like go to stable, go to barracks.
Oh yeah.
Those things I do miss in this game.
I don't miss them, but I was ready to start to try and practice them, and now I have to figure out how to group all my unit production without being able to group them in one. Because you know, Warcraft 3, 1 barracks, 1 bestiary, 1 lodge, and you're done. So you put them all in the same group, you tap, you learn the muscle memory. No grid hotkey, so your muscle memory always works.
Yeah, makes sense. Hera is going for the recently figured out siege counter, which is just mass scouts.
Yeah. I'm not
but
sure it
I'm not
works
sure.
anymore.
Yeah, I don't think so. Like with just some angle shots and these things melt.
It's funny because I had a deja vu watching your stream once or your YouTube video. It kind of looked like this.
Yeah.
You had 45 scouts, and then you had this dry comment like that didn't really work out very well. And then later, the exact same thing. 45 scouts didn't kill a single unit.
Yeah. But that's the thing. I kind of started trying this based on that cheesy ruse strategy. That well, cheesy
Yeah.
in quotes, ruse strategy. Because I felt like when I made siege to try and counter his cav archers, the scouts just came in and killed my siege. But then when I tried it myself, I felt like it didn't accomplish anything.
Yeah. And then you've got this guy called Kaup, K-A-U-P.
Yeah.
And he likes doing like Chinese turtling, as many Chinese do. Nice mangonel hits. And then he walks out with like 10 villagers and does stonewalling everywhere. Like he's making Pan's Labyrinth. So that he's got like 2 sideways walls, like horse vision cover shutters, so that you can't come from the flanks. And yeah, then you can't even flank them at all anymore.
I mean, it is clever from a strategic point of view.
Yes, but a scary look into the future, potentially.
Yeah. One of my predictions for the game that I've been talking about already for a few weeks. Obviously, siege reliance has already been quite massive, but I don't think people have picked up on how good and easy it is to wall and stonewall and use those to secure your base and units as well.
Yeah. What do you think if stone wasn't buyable?
Ooh, that's actually interesting. The issue with stone in this game, though, is that it always has to be balanced with Mongols in mind.
Yeah.
Because of the ogre and getting stone for free.
That's true.
Oh, almost for free. I like the idea of that, but there's a lot of things I would change as well with the stone. I think, like, for example, castles or keeps, they should cost stone to repair.
Yes, exactly. In Blizzard RTS, it is like that. It's always a percentage of the total cost, and the repair speed is a percentage of the total building speed versus HP. So I was so surprised that everything only costs wood here to repair. Like, you're repairing a 600 gold bombard, 60% gold cost, and you only spend wood.
Exactly. But castles make even less sense because it's built of stone or keeps. That's also weird. Like in Age of Empires 2, it's also the same. Like if you want to repair a unit that costs wood and gold, it costs wood and gold, which is kind of logical.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah.